Hello, welcome and good evening. And today we have something special. This came in with a mail today. And yeah, the mail was not nice. Got a bit pummeled, it seems. This is actually from someone in Latvia. On the Vogons forums, he's known under the nickname Labs. So he seems to be a very talented guy who did this thing here. It's a kit, and it's a kit, of course, of a sound card. And when we open this up, we get, first of all, this nice thing here, an assembly manual for the Labs BlasterBoard. It's a SoundBlaster 2.0 compatible sound card made from scratch. This is the kit's contents. It is, of course, reminiscent of, whoops, gonna throw some stuff down, of the Snark Barker, which we all love and know. But the Snark Barker is a SoundBlaster 1.0 or 1.5, and it's impressive. It's a really impressive device. Huge component count. Basically a 100% clone of the original SoundBlaster. From a historic standpoint, very impressive. For retro computers, it's an excellent piece of hardware. And I still haven't got the bracket, which is one of the problems of the Snark Barker, that you need this custom bracket, which is hard to make, at least for me. And the BlasterBoard has some advantages in this respect. So wow, this is actually pretty nice. This is a really comprehensive thing. Oh look, we are mentioned here. I want to thank Europe, Tito, Dream Blaster, blah blah, and Route 42, and other members of Vogons.org for the support and interest in this project. You're awesome. Thank you. You're awesome as well. So definitely go check out Vogons.org. I will link to it in a video description down below. It's a great forum for all things retro computer. I probably have to read through all this because, oh yeah, it's SoundBlaster 2.0 compatible, so it has already the high sampling frequency. Even supports up to 62 kilohertz. Well, that's nice. Look at this. This is nice. So we have all the components here, and you can check them off. No need for keeping an Excel sheet or something, but you can basically just check everything off when you placed it, so you know that you have done everything. And it doesn't use the Intel 8051 CU, but actually an 80 Mega 328, which is the same thing that powers our transistor tester, component tester, which I'll probably use to test the values and see if I got everything right. Yeah, this is pretty neat. I'll have to take a few minutes to read through the forward and the assembly instructions. He has actually made a very interesting way of mounting the bracket. And the bracket, he made sure, uses only round holes. So there's the line out, the one next to it, I'm not sure. And then for potentiometers, I guess, for the volume for CD, speaker, PC speaker, OPL2 and DSP. This is very nice that it has speaker input, because right now I'm using the J16 sound card because it also has speaker input for PC speaker, so I can capture it. I could also use that, and you can adjust OPL2 and DSP. And I can use the CD input maybe for something else, but I would need to make an adapter for that. So it doesn't have a line in, it seems. And does it have a recording capability? I'm not sure. Sample playback. So the noise floor is great, that's awesome. You'll probably hear that. It probably sounds better than the Snark Barker because it uses much better design. And the Snark Barker is simply a 100% clone of the original SoundBlaster. Yeah, I'm not sure about if I have a line input here. I do need the line input or want the line input for the Roland devices, but probably doesn't have that. Might mean that I have to invest into an external USB-based mixer device, which is also fine. But that would also mean that I can use the BlasterBoard as my main sound card in the 386, which would be a bit more fitting than the J16, although I'm pretty sentimentally and nostalgically attached to the J16 because it was my first sound card that I ever bought back in 1994. So here is the very nicely drilled bracket. Looks nice. It's just a blank bracket. These are the holes for the nylon thingies, I guess. Oh no, probably this one and maybe this one here. I'm not sure what this hole is for. We'll find out. A few cables for probably connecting PC speaker and CD-ROM. Some jumpers and pin headers. A bunch of ceramic capacitors, or as Louis Rossmann says, capacitors. This is the mounting solution. Should work. And there's even an extra screw for mounting it in your PC, which I don't need because I have all the screws that I need. Here we have, oh, this one looks brand new. There's a brand new YM3812, so that's the OPL2. This is probably the DAC, the little 8-pin thing here, or one of them. There are multiple ones. I've got a ton of electrolytics and inductors, I think, and metal film resistors, some sockets. Probably will only socket not that many chips, so the 80 mega will be socketed, and I will socket the Yamaha chips but not the rest, which is I think also the plan here. There's a bunch of logic chips, 74 series probably, or stuff for bus interfacing. And Labs also wrote to me about the brown capacitors instead of blue ones, and that I should mail him if I have the brown ones. I think I do. So I'll do that. Probably we have to do something special then. And then here is the PCB. Have a good look here. And he had it made at JLC PCB with nice NX finishing. One thing that I do notice is I think he didn't check the box for the chamfering. So this one here, does it have? No, I think the chamfering is only here at the end. This is available as well. Yes, it is. It is nicely chamfered. I can see it now. So these are nicely chamfered edges for easy insertion into the ISO slots. And yeah, you see how densely packed this is, right? I mean, the footprint of the board is like 2/3 maybe of the Snark Barker. The Snark Barker is already somewhat densely packed, but you see there's a lot of place there. There's very few traces down here, and there's a bunch of free stuff here. Over here, the amplification section, etc., it's densely packed, more or less. Yes, this one here. This is crazy, right? I mean, there's hardly any space. So this will be, yeah, we have to be careful about soldering that one. Designed in Riga, Latvia during hot summer days of 2019. Yeah, I think he started that project like a year ago or so. He had some crazy prototypes running. half breadboard, half PCB, or those thingies here, whatever you call them in English, Loch aus der Platine in German. We can make a German language course here. Yeah, it's really impressive. Here's the JLC PCB batch number, and I think he wanted them to print it here, where put in a place order, but they ignored that as usual, and they just put it under the 80 mega placement. Okay, looks doable. There's also yeah, that's nice, because if you insert it like this, you can read the descriptions for the jumpers easily. So you can select the I/O port, and you can select the IRQ for the DSP, and also the DMA channels. Yeah, I think that's fine. So I'm gonna read up on the instructions, and then we can start soldering. Okay, well, I soldered the first few 100K resistors over here, and one IC socket because it's easy to do. It's also pretty flush. And one thing that I have to say is that the resistors are a very tight fit, so you have to bend them exactly at their ends and leave nothing more, because it's really tightly packed in there, and only then you can get them in, and you have to make sure that they're not standing off too much, and they are also prone to fall a bit through while soldering, so you should keep one finger on the back and solder one point first. But be careful, because they will get very fast, very hot. So that's something to look out for. Plus the solder pads are tiny. So usually with a Snark Barker, this is the one that I haven't cleaned yet, the solder pads are huge. So the solder will stick very easily to them. And here they are, due to the packing density, they are very small and close together, so make sure that you don't bridge out components that shouldn't be bridged. And yeah, other than that you will be fine, but take good care about the placement of the components. Short in between shot. We've got all the resistors, we've got basically all the ceramic capacitors, we've got the inductors and one ferrite bead and two diodes. Missing are still some film capacitors, all of the ICs. I will put in one more socket here for the OPL DAC. It's not necessary to socket these, usually they are fine, but last time I did the Snark Barker, I had a defective duct, so better be safe that I don't have to desolder anything, because they can work in sockets that shouldn't hurt them. Those two sockets were provided and planned for, and there's a bunch of headers missing here, of course the ICs as I said, and the socket, the line out socket, relay, LED, and the variable resistors. Also a resistor network down here I see, and a couple of one transistor I think. Yeah, that should do it. And I think C58 Labs told me that he provided me with a low ESR 10 microfarad electrolytics, and I think this one comes here, but I will look it up when I come to that. And this should be a high ESR one, because this will be charging up and then the relay will trigger. Oh, here's another transistor. And this might be a voltage regulator, maybe V1 and T1. So this will trigger the relay for switching the output. And this should take a bit longer. So let's quickly check this one here. What does our component tester say? What's the ESR? If I get to fiddle in the pins correctly. So let's have a look here. So that's 10 microfarad and an ESR of 0.88. Yeah, I think something around 3 ohms or something is considered high ESR. So yeah, I will see if I have a spare 10 microfarad capacitor. So let's continue. Okay, the soldering is done completely, and it wasn't that hard, but here the capacitors are a bit crowded. I also put in the low ESR capacitor down here anyway, because I only had one with even lower ESR, 0.11 ohms. So I'll have to buy one in the shop in the city, I guess, and replace that. It doesn't hurt, it just triggers the relay too fast, but that is, I think, not such a big problem. Now the only thing left to do is to mount the bracket, and the holes fit perfectly, and there are 2 more holes to attach those nylon thingies here, and this edge here goes next to the bracket and the hole down on the PCB. And yeah, then you simply screw in the screws, just fasten the screws, also one more thing, there's one stereo variable, come on, focus, this one is a stereo variable resistor, because it's for the CD-ROM input, I think. And these 3 fit in here as well, but not the other way around. So take care that you put in the stereo first and then the mono ones. Also, they have little legs here at the back, and they can collide with the resistors which are here, or with the capacitors, because this is a really tight fit. And second one. Then we are almost done. Come on. I like that the bracket has only round holes, because I'm still trying to figure out where I can CNC a bracket for the Snark Barker for cheap. I can have some made in the Netherlands. There's a shop, but they want more than 20 euros per bracket, and I'm not willing to pay that. It's not a good invest, I think. And here we go. So, what do I think of this? It was, I think it's definitely less components than the Snark Barker. Not significantly so, because the amplifier and mixing stage here is pretty complex, and this here is almost the same, I would say. But maybe the Snark Barker has like 30% more or something, if I would have to guess. And all in all, it's pretty easy to solder with a little bit of experience. And the manual was very well made. And oh, I'm not in focus. Well, the manual was very well made, and the kit is really fun. The question is, how's the quality? And that's what we will test next. And the first game to test this with is Day of the Tentacle by LucasArts, because it already has speech output and nice Adlib sound, so both main features of the BlasterBoard can be tested quite well here. And even in the floppy version, which is this that I have here, you have speech in the intro, so let's have a listen.
I'm thirsty.
I don't think you should drink that. It looks bad for you.
Nonsense. It makes me feel great. Smarter. More aggressive. I feel like I could. Like I could. Like I could. Take on the world.
Friends? We've only gone out together 3 times, and already you're telling me you just want to be friends? You never gave me a chance, and for that...
The second game to test here is Max, also floppy version. It has also speech in the introduction, and the voice quality here is a bit worse, because they use some heavy compression on the speech, I think. But you can also hear some clicking artifacts, I think, and these are probably still a firmware bug in the BlasterBoard. I'm currently speaking with the author, so this will be hopefully fixed very soon, I'm sure.
Looks to me like a marginally volatile hostage situation, Max. Ooh, does this mean we get to kick some puffy white mad scientist butt? Can't think of a reason not to.
Pinball Fantasies is the next game and uses the Amiga mod format of digitized music, which leads us also to the next part where I show you a song played in Scream Tracker 3, which is exactly that, a tracker for mod-based music, or S3M music here in this case, but it's basically all the same. Uses samples in a time before wavetable synthesis became popular. And very similarly, you can also have tracker music based on the OPL chip, so this is FM synthesis and not sample based, but it actually sounds pretty good and it's a very nice tool to have for the OPL. But not only FM synthesis is possible with the BlasterBoard, you can also pipe your PC speaker input into this, and for that let's have a listen to Zak McKracken, which doesn't support anything but PC speaker. Okay, so you saw a demonstration of various games and music that can be produced with a BlasterBoard. By now I have assembled 4 different retro sound cards. The first one was the Adlib, then came the MUS 1099 Game Blaster clone, then the Snark Barker SoundBlaster 1.0 or 5 clone, and now the BlasterBoard. And still most of the time for the 386 I'm using the Jazz 16 sound card, and they all have different features. They all partially stem from different ages, the BlasterBoard being made from scratch but aiming at SoundBlaster 2.0 compatibility. And they have lots of different features. I actually wanted to compare them in this video, but it already gotten too long, basically. So I will make another video, maybe the very next one, maybe definitely in the coming few weeks, where I will compare those 5 sound cards. Not necessarily make a shootout like I did with the Adlib versus the Game Blaster, because I think by now we know what the different cards sound like, but more like a feature comparison and like a guide to what sound card do you want. I haven't even touched the SoundBlaster 16 era stuff, and even this one is actually the newest from all the technologies. But still, these are the cards that I have at hand, and I'm targeting always with my machine and my stuff here the time frame for games of the late 80s to early 90s, let's say up to 1993, 1994. Basically anything that can run on a 286 and 386, not necessarily even the stuff that was 486 or higher. Things like Doom is usually out of my goal for this particular machine and setup. So the next video will be which card to choose and what do you need to keep in mind, as well as my particular setup that I also want to capture this stuff on video for you guys. and also have the option and necessity to use my Roland devices for MIDI stuff, because there's of course also a difference between those cards and what you then need. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun building this card. It's an excellent kit, and haven't yet cleaned it. There's still flux on the back, so that's still something to do while I prepare the next video. And if you want to see the next video, make sure that you subscribe, so I will pop up in your feed. And other than that, I'd like to thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.